Hi everybody. In this movie, we're going to be taking a look at how to do some great selections and work with masking. So make sure you have your cat loaded and up inside of Photoshop, and then go ahead and go to the Tools panel on the left side of your screen and grab your Quick Selection tool. The first decision you're going to have to make is, how am I going to select out this cat? You may be tempted to click and drag on top of the kitty, but I'll tell you what, I want you to wait. The reason is this cat is actually pretty complex. There's some shading in there, and there's a lot of different little spots. I'm going to look for something a little simpler to select it out. The background is actually simpler than the cat. So if you click and drag on the background instead, whoop, it is easier. Now, if you make a mistake, just hit Command D or Control D to deselect. So click and drag around the outside without touching the inside of the kitty, and you should get just the white background. When you have just the white background, go up to Select, come down to Inverse. Now I've got just the outside of the cat selected. Now here's where the masking part comes in. Come down to the mask icon. Click on it. We're going to add a mask. You can see the mask thumbnail here. There are a couple ways to get into the Select and Mask dialog. You can right-click on this mask and tell it to select and mask, or you can go up to the Select and Mask button in the top center of your screen. Either way is just fine. So it'll bring up a bunch of properties that we can work with. So this is actually looking pretty good for what we want. I'm going to stick with it for now. Keep this in mind, okay? Now, it looked pretty good for what we're doing. Let's add a background just to test it. I'm going to drag this new layer down below. If you didn't see it, I clicked on the plus icon here to add that new layer, and then I just clicked and dragged and brought that down. Click on your bucket icon, and let's add a gray color behind this kitty. Woo, that kitty is not what I want. So doing it over a clear background is just not a good idea. Let's go back up, click on your layer 0, click on the thumbnail. Let's fix this kitty. I'm going to go back into that selected mask by right-clicking on the mask and coming down to selected mask. Let's work on a couple of things. Come down to where it says Shift Edge. Let's just do a little bit here. I'm going to the left with the slider. That's looking pretty good. I don't want to do feather because this is a hard edge. If you do feather, it's going to give it a soft edge. I want it to do a smart radius. I want it to decontaminate colors. I think that is going to be fine. And I do want it to output to a new layer with a layer mask. So go ahead and click OK. That's fine. Now we're going to do a little bit more work. The one place that really sticking out right now is right here, and then there's a couple of spots between its toes. So hit Command plus if you're on a Mac or Control plus if you're on a PC, and let's zoom in a bit. Hold down the space bar to get the hand and move it to where you can see it a little more easily. Make sure your mask is still selected, and then I want you to get the brush tool by hitting the letter B, or you could just click on it in the panel. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the color black. Black conceals, white reveals in a mask. Let me say that again. Black conceals and white reveals in a mask. So with that paintbrush, you're simply going to paint over the white. Just paint like this. Okay, I'm going to make my paintbrush just a little bit bigger so I can go a little quicker. And I am doing this with a mouse, so it's a little awkward. Usually I like to do this kind of work with a tablet, but I'm going to do it just like you are going to have to do it today. So here we go. There we go. That looks better. So whenever you are working like this, you're working to get rid of white fringe. White fringe is your enemy when it comes to good selection technique, okay? Now what I want you to do is to just analyze the outside of your kitty, and wherever you see little spots, remove them. Those little white spots. Those little white spots drive your instructor insane. And you don't want a crazy teacher, do you? Make sure you get rid of them, please. Okay. Now I'm not going to do all of this with you. I'm just going to do a little bit more. I might have to do just a little bit more there. There we go. There we go. But I think that's enough that you... Oh, hey, my opacity is not where it needs to be. Hold on. Let me drag that up a little bit more. That'll make it go quicker. Yeah, like that. Okay. Now, don't be afraid to zoom in and zoom out to get the best product you need to. In fact, good artists zoom in and zoom out quite a bit. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to use masking to get great selections for any kind of work that you're doing, especially with compositing. Now, as we're looking at this image, there's a little bit of image repair here that we should also probably do, right? If I'm looking at this, I can see a line. You see that line that has been created? That is not terribly attractive, right? Let me go in here a little bit closer. So I'm just zooming. I'm hitting Command plus on my Mac. You would hit Control plus on a PC. All right, so I would probably just hit I to get my eyedropper tool and grab this color here. Get my brush again, and I just brush in some black. Oh, I'm painting on, never mind. I'm painting on the wrong thing. I have to get into the actual graphic. There we go. Whoop. Let's get that color. And now I'll paint. There we go. Helps when you get the right color. So if I were going to use this graphic commercially, I would have to go through the entire thing and get rid of all of this line. Okay? Paying attention to details really is important when you're working at a professional level. So I expect you to have that same kind of eye when it comes to these details. Okay, guys, I will see you in the next video. Remember what we talked about today. Make sure you remove all the old canvas, and I want you to pay attention to errors in the originals, like lines like this. Okay, thank you very much. Take care.